everybody, welcome to another Affinity photo tutorial. This week we're going to try the disintegration effect like I've got on the screen here. I first saw this tutorial on Affinity Jack's website. Affinity Jack is a German YouTuber who does lots of Affinity photo tutorials and quite a few of them have English subtitles. So I'll link Affinity Jack below if you want to go and check him out. Okay, so as usual, let's get started. We're going to use this blank desert picture here, and we're also going to use this picture of the man, and I'll link both of those photos below if you want to follow along. Now already, to just save some time, I've already used my selection brush tool over here and I've selected the man. A couple little tips: don't forget, if you want to get into these really tight spaces here, you can hold your option key down with a very small brush and you can get into these tight spaces. Once you're happy that you have your selection of the man, you've got him all selected, you can go Command C and over to the desert picture and Command V. We can make him a little bit bigger. Make sure we're on our move tool. We'll also come up to arrange and flip horizontal to get him going the other way. Let's just position him where we want him. He's going to be flying backwards into the picture here, so maybe tiny little bit bigger out like that. That's pretty good. While we've got him still highlighted, we're going to go Command J and make 2 copies. And on the second copy here, this second background copy, this is where we're going to use our Liquefy persona. So let's go up and do that. So up here in the left hand corner, we have the Liquefy persona. It's going to click on that. We're going to use this tool here, the Liquefy push forward tool. Don't have to change any of the other settings. Okay, so we've got our brush and we're just going to now use our Liquefy persona to brush that in the direction our pixels are going to fly in our disintegration effect. So we'll just push that out, right out, much as we can without getting any holes. Okay, once you're happy, we can come up here to apply and click apply. And then on that layer that we did this Liquefy persona, this layer here, we're going to add a mask and we are going to invert it with Command I. That'll make that disappear, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. And then on the top layer here, we're also going to add a mask, and we're going to leave that mask white. So we have a white mask and an inverted black mask. So on this white mask, we're going to come over to the left here to our Paintbrush Tool. We're going to come to our brushes, and we're going to pick painting. And the one that I'm going to use is this one right up the top here, 90, this paintbrush like a splatter. I'm going to come over here to our colors and we want to be painting in black. I'm going to make the picture a little bit bigger with my Command plus, make my brush a little bit bigger. As you can see, when we're painting in black, it's taking that picture away. I'm just using my shift key here to move around and I'm just brushing the way the pixels are going to fly. Make my brush a little bit bigger, right in there like that. Top here. Those hands. Okay, I'm going to make the brush quite big on his face here and just even right from the back here. Okay, so when you're happy with that, we've taken quite a bit of him away with this splatter brush. And that's where we're now going to put some of these pixels back in again. We're going to come down to this mask now that we inverted. We're going to change our painting color to white. As you'll see, we'll start putting these pixels back in nice and slowly, but with this splatter effect, so it looks like they're flying away. By the way, we can keep our brush opacity 100, flow is about 70 and hardness is 80, and that's fine. Make the brush a little bit bigger here. Smaller on the arms, we'll add some of that back in, quite big on the face up here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to collapse both of these layers here. I'm going to add a new pixel layer and bring it right to the top. I'm going to grab my little eyedropper here and I just want to pick out one of those colors, sort of like a bluey color. Click on the little icon here to activate that color. I'm using the same brush, but I'm going to drop my opacity to about 50 and my flow to about 50 as well. I'll drop my hardness all the way down to 0 and make that brush quite big. Just going to add a few more pixels on their own layer here, like they're all flying away. And I'm just going to drop the opacity a little bit like that. Awesome. And then on all these 3 layers, I'm going to hold my Shift key and click on all these 3 layers here and go Command G and group them into one layer. Come up here to Filters, Blur, and Motion Blur. And I'm just going to use about 9.6, and the rotation is 180 degrees, just to give that a little bit of motion blur, and go OK. So now we've got that disintegration effect looking really good. So a couple more little options. You can stop here if you want to, but we're going to do a few more little things just to make it look a little bit better. We're going to add another pixel layer. We're going to change our brush to basic, and we're going to pick a nice soft brush. Still on our paintbrush tool, we're going to come back to colors. I'm going to hit D on my keyboard to change the colors back to black and white. And then I'm going to hit X on my keyboard to get the black. We want to paint in black now. Fairly big brush, and I'm just going to scoot backwards just a little bit like that. I'm going to come up to the move tool, and I'm going to stretch that out and position it about there, just under. Also going to add a little bit of Gaussian blur down here. Come to FX, click on Gaussian blur, and I'll just take it all the way up to the top. So we've got a little bit of shadow underneath him there. So that's looking pretty good with the shadow. We'll do one more thing. We'll come over here to this other photo I've got, and I'll link this photo below as well, to some bokeh. I'm going to come here to my crop tool. I'm going to crop it in really tight and hit apply. I'm also going to put a Gaussian blur on here. So FX, Gaussian blur all the way up to the top. Close that. Just crop it a little bit more to crop out those areas that it chopped off at the end there. And I'm also going to recolor it. So I'm going to come down here to the adjustments, recolor, and with my hue slider here, I'm going to just slide it till I get that sort of orangey yellow look, pretty much like that. And then I'll just bring this recolor and attach it to this layer below. On this layer, I'm going to go Command C, back over to my picture of the man. I'm going to go Command V and put that layer there. Move it down, make it really quite small. And I'm going to change the blend mode to screen. Coming up here to this little anchor here, you'll see it turns into, so you can rotate it. So I'm just going to rotate it, make it a little bit bigger. Position it sort of across the man. Then we're going to come over here to our mesh warp tool, just over here on the left, mesh warp tool. Click on that, and just in the middle here, just going to bend that into his body there. Looking pretty good. We can just bend it up a little bit there as well, and hit apply. That's looking pretty good. Okay, just one more thing. We're going to come and do another pixel layer. Come back to our brush tool. We're going to come to our colors, and we're looking for that orange color, the sort of burnt orange color. We're still happy with our soft brush, but we're going to drop the opacity to about 50, the flow to about 50, and the hardness 0. And just with a big brush, going to get a little bit more of that orange in here. And then on the opacity up here, I'm going to drop that back a little bit more. Okay, there we have it, everyone. The disintegration effect in Affinity Photo. Once again, I'd like to thank Affinity Jack. Don't forget to go and check out his YouTube channel. If you did enjoy the tutorial this week, please consider subscribing to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up. And until next time, I'll say to you, be brave, go out and do something amazing, and I'll see you in the next video.